About a year or two before switching jobs, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, or at least I thought I was. All right. My name is Alex Mertzleft. I taught math for approximately 8 years, and this is my first year teaching digital media and filmmaking. I went to Missouri Western State University. That's in St. Joseph, Missouri. So I chose that school because initially I wanted to get a degree in video production. And Missouri Western and Missouri State were the only two schools in Missouri, public schools in Missouri, that had video degrees. But then before I actually got to the school, I decided that I wanted to be a teacher instead. I thought video production would be too competitive of a career field. And I didn't want to move to like Hollywood or anything. I just wanted to stay in Missouri. So I just figured, you know what, I'll be a teacher and math is my strongest subject, so I'll teach math. So then I decided to get a degree in math. It really wasn't until the very end of my senior year of high school that I decided that I was just going to try the teaching thing. Because I was pretty set on the video production thing for most of my high school career. And then for some reason, it just kind of switched on me that, you know, I never really considered teaching to be an option. And I think once I kind of considered it, that's when I was like, yeah, that like totally makes sense. I'll do that. I remember thinking that it would be a comfortable choice. And then I had some teachers that I really liked, and then I had some teachers that I thought they could do a lot better. And there was things were like, you know what, I'm gonna try to do a lot better, and I'm gonna try to, I don't know, change the world. Every teacher thinks that they're gonna do that whenever they go off to become a teacher, and then it's a lot harder than you realize. Like teachers, they need teachers, and then I also thought that, well, if I end up not liking teaching, I'll have a degree in math, and that will be a valuable thing to have on my resume anyways. So I felt like there was a lot of different paths I could go with that degree. Digital media is the main class I teach, but then I teach the advanced class for film production, and I just never really considered that being an option. I don't know why I never considered it being an option. I don't know if it was because I didn't think it was possible, or I didn't know if I didn't think I was good enough, or what, but that never even occurred to me. In my opinion, the hardest part about teaching is keeping students on task and engaged. Comparing this to teaching math, there are plenty of students who are like interested in math, but there's way more kids who are not interested in math. I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be to teach kids who didn't care about math. They essentially canceled school for the rest of the year. All the assignments, at least for middle school, were optional. So it's like, all right, so we get like a 6 or 7 month summer here. Like, so it was kind of nice, and I was still getting paid for all that time, but because none of the kids were doing any of their work anyway. So I just kind of, so yeah, I didn't have to grade anything then. The part that affected me the most was we had like policies in place in class that we needed to enforce, and it was really hard to enforce them. So things like just like wearing a mask, and a lot of kids just did not want to do that. And I'd almost wish we didn't have that rule, because I destroyed so many relationships just trying to get on kids to like wear them. And so whenever we no longer needed to, that just made my job a lot easier, not having to police that. Whenever I taught Southern Boone, I never felt like I was done until the summer. A lot less stressful than previous years. I haven't ever felt like I've never felt like I brought work home with me, because with math, I feel like it was very important that they understood the concepts, because if they didn't, then next year they were just going to be even more behind. Where with digital media, if they don't understand the concepts, then it's like, well, I guess you just don't move on to the next digital media class. It's not for you. You take something else. About a year or two before switching jobs, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, or at least I thought I was. I was having panic attacks every day, and I would, even while I was teaching, I would just teach right through them, and it was a really like difficult thing for me to handle. And so I was looking for other jobs a little bit before this one too. I was looking at like other jobs that use my math degree. So I was looking at like data analyst. But then um, my friend who works at the career center said that there was a position opening up, and he recommended that I apply for it. So I did. Apparently, but then the assistant principal called, who was in charge of hiring, and said that I wasn't qualified to teach. Like my resume doesn't or not even my resume, but like I need to have either a year of experience in the private sector for what I'm teaching,
Okay.
or I need to have a degree in not a degree, a certification to teach business. And he asked how likely was it that I could get a certification in business, and I said, well, my contract has to be renewed within a week here at Southern Boone. So that means I would have a week to study and to try to pass the test. And this is the test that usually people go to college for. And I had a week to study for it. So I was like, I'm doing it. So I just crammed in like all the information that I could. Found like a whole bunch of websites I could use to study for it. And I just 24/7 for the whole week. And this is during the last week of school too. So like I was doing the last week of school, getting all my grades in and doing this. And it was a very, very stressful time, especially since I was dealing with stress for the last, like anxiety for the last 2 years. And I wanted to switch to this job because I thought that was going to be a good solution to get rid of my anxiety. I passed the test, but my anxiety didn't go away. I was still in like that mode of I have to cram everything in before this test. So all summer, this last summer was a really bad summer for me. I was actually, I said I was having panic attacks every day. Well, last summer, or this most recent summer, I was having like 8 or 9 panic attacks a day. It was really, really bad. I couldn't do anything. I just like was just laying in bed and on like my couch, just watching TV the whole time because nothing else. I couldn't play games. I still don't have League of Legends on my computer because I was afraid that was just going to add to any like anxiety that I would have. But then I got my job. I got some medication, and the anxiety or the panic attacks kind of calmed down. So I was like, okay, cool. Like this job's helping out a lot. But I was still having them maybe once, like every 1 or 2 days. I was having like a panic attack. So then my parents, they were like, hey, you should go see a doctor for this. Or see a a neurologist on this because I saw doctors for this. And they did an MRI. Apparently, I had a brain tumor. And so in December, I got brain surgery and they removed the brain tumor. And I haven't had a panic attack since because I actually wasn't having panic attacks. I was having seizures. Yeah. So, but now I'm all better. I haven't had a seizure since my surgery, which was at the end of December. And I've been just fine. Like it's been great. But that was a big motivator, was all the stress and anxiety I was dealing with. That's a big reason why I wanted to switch to this job, because I figured it would be less stressful, and it was less stressful. But the stress was coming from more than just my job. It was coming from a brain tumor. And I loved my job still. It wasn't like I was trying to leave a job I didn't like. I was just curious what else was out there. And there's other jobs that made more money. Money's not something that I really care about too much. I'd rather have a job that I enjoy than a job that makes more money. But I was just curious that I wanted to try working in the private sector before I committed to teaching, because if I wanted to work in the private sector, I wanted more time to be able to grow in that career. Because if I try whenever I'm like 50 or something, there's not much room to grow before I retire. But yeah, like I said, I haven't had any seizures or like panic attacks since I got the tumor removed, and that's been just over 2 months ago. And like, if you saw me, you wouldn't be able to tell I had brain surgery. Like this, I was kind of blown away by how quick, like, I recovered in like a week or two. They did the surgery over winter break. I went back to school as soon as school started back up in January. The big thing that bothered me was I feel like I did not leave everything very organized for the people that filled my shoes. So all the resources that I had were very much in like my own accounts and everything. None of it was something that I could share.
Mhm.
almost all of my assignments were through that, and that was tied to my email, but it wasn't like a Google Drive thing where I could just like send it all to somebody else. It's
Yeah.
like you have to have my account, and I can't just give someone else my account. Or so like come in because the way I had it set up was just not intuitive, but it made the most sense in terms of how to teach it, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So I felt really guilty about that. So guilty that I came back in like September or October to talk to the math teachers. I was like, hey, let me like explain how this worked out because um, one of the teachers reached out to me and said that they had no clue how this was all structured. So I was like, let me like conference with you and we can get figured out. But I also felt bad too because Miss Morris went to the high school and then I left, and then there was another math teacher there that left. So three math teachers left the middle school, and they were all like the seventh and eighth grade. So the seventh and eighth grade math department completely got changed, and a new principal was coming in. Yeah, and I genuinely liked the school and all the teachers there and the administration. I really did like everybody there. So I felt bad with any inconveniences that I could have caused. Yeah, but they were all very supportive too of like they were the ones that wrote me letter of recommendations and were cheering me on, hoping that I could. I felt a little bad about esports too because there was because I did chess club at the middle school, and there was a lot of kids that were saying how they couldn't wait to do esports next year, and this was before I knew whether or not I was gonna stay. Like this was during my studying of the test, so I didn't want to tell them if I was or wasn't going to be there until I passed the test.
Certain.
Yeah, which was going to be after school got out because it was that last week. So I never told them that I wasn't coming back, and then all of a sudden they get there, and then luckily there is a teacher doing esports there now. That's not me,
Okay.
so it's not gone. But I just remember I just felt so bad about these kids that were in my chess club that wanted to do esports next year. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm excited too. But